Hi, and welcome to a new episode of Oh CyCy, brought to you from the heart of the Lower East Side, where I sit down with cool people from the neighborhood who do interesting stuff and projects that matter. We talk about their creative process, their world, their insights, basically what's hot and happening in New York City. And today I have two amazing guests, Yahsh and Katherine. Yahsh is a photographer and Katherine is a painter, both artists, and they're dating. So good to have you. Katherine, can you introduce yourself? What's your elevator pitch? 1 minute.
Yeah, sure. I am a painter. I was born in Portland, Oregon, West Coast. I moved around a lot as a child, up and down West Coast, and then moved to Austin, Texas for 8 years before New York. It was a trip to Berlin that made me take painting seriously for myself. I saw young people in a studio working, selling weed, but also painting. And I was like, this is actually real, that you can be a young person and you can paint and you can make money and you can have a studio. It was all of this was so beyond me living in the U.S. And then I went back to Austin from Berlin and really thought about it and was just doing a lot of things that I thought made me happy, but was not painting in the same level I wanted to. And so I moved to New York.
Wow.
My first goal when I got here was to get a studio space.
Okay.
And I had that for a while on Broome Street. It was an
amazing Lower
studio.
East Side. We love.
And then eventually I realized that I just like painting at home. There's so many pros to it. And then eventually after that I met Yahsh and we lived together.
It's a truck, we're in the hood.
Mm-hmm. And but I met Yahsh, we lived together, I have a studio there.
That's cool.
So this is where I'm
Nice,
at.
and I'm going to ask later why you like painting at home, probably because you can always just do it.
Because I don't sleep very much. I like to...
She hates sleeping.
I don't like sleeping. So I like to be able to paint something into the night and then not have to commute at 4 a.m. home on the train. That's not the best vibe, and so being...
How many hours of sleep do you need a night?
Oh my god, probably... For women, apparently it's 14. But I get probably something like 5.
Yeah.
Wow.
5, 6.
Wait, studies have shown.
What do you paint?
I paint abstract paintings.
Abstract?
Yeah, I keep using that word. But it's very important to me, actually, that word. And then I like to paint with oil. I also like chalk pastels. I like dry and wet at the same time. And sometimes I use more fashion fabrics instead of canvas. I've painted on satin, leather, suede, things that I think... Velvet. Yeah, things that have an emotional response because we like clothes, because it means something about where you're going or what the event is. These are kind of these luxe fabrics. It's honestly, as an artist, we've never had the materials that we have right now. Some really beautiful things have been made, and they're being made really in volume that has not been totally accessible to all artists forever. And so having nice oil paint, and then also the fabric store in Manhattan.
But how do you use the fabric on your painting? How do you do that?
Well, I always paint unstretched. This is
unconventional, apparently.
Apparently, yeah. But I just could never afford stretcher bars immediately, and so I always paint unstretched, and I just will thumbtack things to the wall and pin them up and just paint directly onto the wall on a piece of fabric. And so it came down to what I had, and it sometimes was other projects that I would end up just using scraps of things, or I would take apart something that I got on sale that didn't fit me and then use that. That's sort of how I was able to source canvas at certain points.
So you use mix everything?
Basically, I feel like I'm just swapping out canvas for essentially scraps, but I like to use expensive scraps. So if wherever I can source that kind of thing, then I'll prefer to use that.
What else do you use?
I've used...
Well, we were just talking about...
Oh, true.
We were just outside and the birds are making a nest.
The birds are making a nest outside of KK's house.
Yeah.
There might be footage of that coming soon.
Yeah, definitely.
But
stay tuned.
Yeah, but one of the things that will not be in an upcoming show of mine, but a different project, is with fur.
Yeah,
and so
because you were saying the birds like to make the nest.
The birds love hair. This is the Portland, Oregon showing. But birds, if you clean your hairbrush, ladies, people with long hair, how about that? If you clean your hairbrush and you put it outside, the birds will literally swoop it up. Like, you can just watch them within minutes. They'll pick it up because it's really valuable to them. They really, like, see a lot of value in it.
It's sheltered.
It makes it very
also,
warm and cozy for their little eggs and their babies. So I feel like putting it there is really, like, an offering place for the birds.
They
it's
do
like
sing to us, these birds.
Oh, yeah?
They do sing to us. Every morning.
They actually just
24/7.
Yeah,
they don't stop. It's pretty beautiful, I think.
It's very beautiful. I don't know the species of New York yet. I need to look into
Well,
that.
yeah, these are mourning doves. Because I do look, like pigeons, I don't let them, like, I kind of scare them away. I don't want it to be, they're flying
You have mourning
rats.
doves
What?
here? You have mourning doves here?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
I've heard that they're very intelligent.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but it's so crazy because it's like they did it right in front of my door.
They see a lot of value in hair. And I think also people see a lot of value in their hair.
Yeah.
We have an emotional connection, right, to our hair somehow. And I got a bob in 2021. And I cut all the hair out of the bag, and now I'm embroidering it into yellow fur.
Wow.
So
And that's going to be on your art piece.
It will not be in this show.
Okay.
This
But
upcoming
it
one.
will be. It's an art piece.
Yash. Elevator pitch. 1 minute.
I don't know. I don't speak English very well, but
Yeah,
I'm from Manila. I moved here when I was 18 or 17 to 18.
Okay.
And I lived in Austin for 8 years. I went to school there. I went to the University of Texas. I studied sociology and women's and gender studies.
Wow.
I transferred programs because film was just so
Oh, it was? Yeah.
it's so it was just so masculine.
Yeah.
I think. I feel like if I said something stupid, it would be laughed at instead of like starting conversation with me why I think that the things that I think about. And so instead of, I was like, okay, let me just study the people that live here. I take photos of this woman.
Well,
it's like
not only that woman, but
no, actually, it's only this one.
Really?
Yeah, lately it's like more of a muse-based photography. I think it's about like just the two of us and how comfortable we feel about each other.
Yeah.
And because
you two really seem like soulmates. Like, wow.
I think so. I feel that way.
I feel that way.
Are you being honest?
Wait, how is that muse and girlfriend?
So when I first started taking photos, it was more like street photography.
Because you took amazing photos at a party recently too. That I love. That's why.
Which one was it? Like Juku?
Yeah, it was
Gone.
Juku.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I do like the party. I thought I was gonna. I really like Nan Golden to start. Like the photographer that I only knew really was Nan Golden.
Really?
And
What do you
because
like
Nan
about
Golden,
Nan?
it's because it's queer.
Okay.
Like she took photos of like vulnerable moments of like queer people at parties or even at home. It looks like it's an afters or like a pregame or whatever, but it's all like beautiful pieces. And I thought for a while like doing party photos was like a way to like document like New York life, whatever.
Yeah, the sign of the time.
And I still sometimes do try and take that. But right now, I think what I was talking to my friends about recently is that we are so afraid of talking about love in our generation.
Why is that? Why is that?
Because
now?
it's like I say this like time and time again. I think it's because we like that's the one thing we long for. We all want to be like held or whatever.
Yeah.
But people are just so afraid of like voicing that want. I don't know. I feel like they think it's corny. A lot of the times they think it's cheesy. And so like me doing photos of Katherine sometimes in like an abstract way or like in a very direct way, I think like when people like see it, they actually feel that there is like some magic in it.
Yeah.
And I stand by it. I feel like I haven't taken like, I feel like my photos of hers are probably the best photographs I've ever taken.
Yeah.
It's because there's like this...
People can feel the love.
It's like spreading the word that these magical things do exist.
Yeah.
Whether it's
Super
like
inspiring.
art and whether it's art or like whether it's like conversation. You know, like I feel like if we go out, people will always assume something about her, just her image, and they have these like assumptions, and then once they talk to her, they're like, oh my god, she's actually cool. She's not just like a blonde white woman. You know what I mean? There's
What's
always
wrong with
like
a blonde white woman?
a lot of. I'm kidding.
Nothing.
You know, and even for me, I mean, even for me, like an Asian girl, like that's, you know, they would never expect me to do the things that I do or like speak the way that I do, and it's just, I don't know. I feel like our art forms do say some things about the complexities of us individually and also together.
So do you think it's hard to find love in New York City? I'm asking this because you said that a lot of people don't dare to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because I think it's probably easier if in Austin, whatever, it's more domestic. Here, it just goes on, and there's so many
But I
options.
also think that people here are rewarded for being on their worst behavior. Like, I have noticed people, I mean, it's, if we're talking about anything, it's like the only way to get real attention, I think, is if you're on your sassiest, you know, your A game, you're dressed up to intimidate.
Like you don't give a fuck. Which
anything.
I actually respect those people.
And then also this
by the way.
narrative, this mantra that now we're supposed to tell ourselves like to be a strong, independent woman. That doesn't include anybody. That doesn't include vulnerability. That doesn't include an intimacy. It's really like this costume that we are encouraged to put on. And I have felt that as a single person in New York before we were together, where it's like, you know, you're in the city where you have this concept for, I mean, decades now, right?
Yeah.
In cinema, in life, it's this idea that like if you're here, it's for you. It's very individualized, and if you're not, you know, reaching your full potential, whether that's financial or like occupational or whatever, then you know what, you don't have time. Yeah. Because it's seen as secondary or tertiary to those things. Like love is seen as a weakness. And I think that in Manhattan, there's like this vibe about being protective of yourself and your energy and your you know, your image also, about this like idea of publicity with another person being like, you know, a way of becoming official as a couple. Like there's a certain aspect to it where it's very external and it doesn't actually match up with any hierarchy of needs at all. That's something that we all know. Like there's this hierarchy of needs in every city is the same thing. And I don't,
what is that hierarchy of needs?
I mean,
at
the bottom is something like food and water, shelter. Yeah, and then it goes up into more abstract concepts, and at the top is probably something more like these top levels are something more like acceptance or friendship. Like you live longer if you have good friends. You live longer if you're in a good relationship. Like, these are just studies that, I mean, we know about. And so now, like, to live in this world where everything is very individualized, it is seen as a weakness to try something with somebody if it's not the thing. You know, you want to be public with a couple or as a couple online, then it's got to be for real, because otherwise that's so embarrassing for you. You know, you have to delete these pictures that you've put up of somebody you've only been with for 2 months. And you have to put your status back. You can't be like, this is like you know, heart emoji. You have to delete these things because it's like it didn't end up working out. So it's much more public, and I understand completely the idea of like not wanting to submit yourself to that subjective.
I didn't grow up with art.
Okay.
Like the Philippines where I grew up is literally it's academic and sports. Okay. So I was a swimmer growing up, but also like I was in math mostly. So those are the only things that my parents supported me in. So when I moved to Austin, I was like, oh my God, people take photos or people do poetry and do videos and stuff, especially Austin, because Austin is very...
For queers and steers.
Yeah, exactly. It's very creative. And also, like, the film program at the University of Texas is really, really good. Like, South by Southwest is there. Like,
there's
so
a lot
many.
going
It's
on.
very much supported. Yeah. And so I was like, oh my God, I fucking love that this is the first place that I land in. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I could have ended up in fucking Midwest or
Nebraska.
something. Yeah, exactly.
Wisconsin.
And I would I would not be happy. No. I think like I love the fact that my first place in the US was Austin. Yeah. But then eventually it became like a cul-de-sac to me. Like it became a dead end for me.
Okay. What was the dead end? What was that moment you
It
felt
was just
that?
like everything that I saw there and everything that people were producing were almost similar, that there's no like variety. Like I couldn't learn anymore from them. But that's the place where I
That's
honestly...
the problem now with the internet too.
Yeah,
Everyone's
truly.
saying
Like
that's- we'll talk
really.
about
And
it,
like
yeah.
everyone is like referencing something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's like original... everyone feels like everything's already been made.
Yeah.
Like every industry that I walk into now, I feel like I can see the good bits of it and also the bad parts of it.
Yeah.
And then the bad parts I constantly want to change. But I think like
And that's through your study.
Through the
I
study.
have the same. You learn something. From
Yeah, so
everything.
you just have to be a sponge. I feel like I say this all the time, and Catherine's probably heard me say this all the time. To be like a sponge is such a young age, understanding that you will, like, just take in whatever people say, and
Yeah.
also you pick which one stays in you is like kind of like a mature person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I moved to New York because I feel like Austin ended up becoming a tech hub. Like Tesla moved there, Californians were buying houses in cash, people are wearing flip-flops at clubs, and I was just like, this is not the kind of...
You also do, so your like day job is like set design, right?
I do set design in the day. Like sometimes I'm mostly freelance.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm like starting to build my book more because I've learned from a lot of people now.
Okay.
That I feel like I can do it on my own now. I mean, I've done it before, but I feel like now being around these people like Emilio, JQ, and all of these friends
Who are those?
yeah, Emilio is a photographer and JQ is a set designer, and these people have like given
Icons.
me opportunities or also like networks to like learn as an individual and also as an artist.
And that's so great about this
yeah,
city.
yeah,
So,
totally. And you have to build relationships. It's like, it's not, I didn't talk to them because I knew that they were going to give me an opportunity. I talked to them because I knew they were cool.
Yeah.
And I felt that they were cool.
Yeah.
And those opportunities came a long way because we've built a relationship. I think a lot of people do forget that when you are networking, it doesn't mean transactional. It doesn't mean you have to be an opportunist. You know, you have to like have emotion.
So do you think that people take less risks now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
totally.
100%.
I
People are
think
so
so too.
much more careful.
Yeah, I feel like New York is supposed to be like the place where you could just like be free and like...
And I'm like, okay, everything I have to put out has to be kind of good. I was for myself thinking, wow, I've gotten way too careful. I've gotten kind of a pussy.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you think that is?
I think it's also hyper surveillance.
Hyper surveillance for sure.
Totally.
We're always on camera. We're always photographed. You know, if your skirt goes up in the wind, it's like the odds of that being on a dash cam is actually like pretty high. You know,
Yeah.
like you really
Yeah.
can be caught on a lot of different cameras. I mean, the idea is that it makes us safer, but in reality, I think it makes everybody their own cop. You
Yeah.
know? It's like
Kill the cop in your head.
Thank you.
Obviously.
They really are like, I think
Sirens.
they really, yeah. But I really think that like it's terrifying to go outside sometimes, because the idea is that before any of this like hyper surveillance whatever thing is like, you were going outside and you were looking chic, and that was just because you liked to. You know, it wasn't for anything else. And so then you did get satisfaction just because you knew that you looked like that.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a satisfaction because other people said that you looked a certain way. It was just because you liked it. And I think that, yeah, cut the cameras.
What?
I also-
Yeah, cut the camera.
But it's also like,
I think
yeah.
the reason why I'm also like so connected with Catherine is because like we both agree that all of these like hyper visibility on the internet is like something that we don't want, is because we actually want to just have genuine connections with people, and it's organic, and like we don't post so much on Instagram. Like we really don't. I don't.
But what you
think
post
that-
is fire. by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But I think that that's really like, if you're with it, you're with it. Every single time I post something, I lose a follower. I lose
Same.
followers
I
every single
literally
time.
do.
And every single time that it happens, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I think it's
like,
honestly
get out.
because like we are
If you don't love it.
we are like we're dating and we're both high femme lesbians.
Yeah.
And like the men that have been following us have been trying to like get with us, and then
Yeah,
they
'cause
find out.
I can imagine for a straight
Yeah,
man.
and
like a dream,
it's like
no?
there's
They're
like,
fuck, and then they
they're-
have to like stop and
yeah.
like unfollow.
I feel so much more myself in New York than in Austin.
Yeah,
because
here it's applauded to be different.
yes, exactly. And like the people here that would complain about someone weird at a party, I'm like, no, someone weird is actually what we need.
Yeah.
And also what we should be accepting. The reason why we moved to New York is like we have to like laugh at all of these different characters at this party and at this show and whatever.
I mean, if you start with that, yeah.
and it's
you can keep on
literally
laughing 'cause everybody's a
exactly.
freak.
And
I
and no,
love
I
it.
Laugh at
fucking love
yourself.
it.
Yeah.
Laugh at yourself for being the weird one at the party sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
there are
I
times.
definitely laugh at her for being the weird one
Yeah,
at
she
the
definitely
party.
laughs at me.
That's why we moved here, to like find these like people that we didn't think would be cool but are fucking cool.
Yeah.
You know, like we talk about this a lot, and I think I talk about it to my friends that every time we go to a bar, we have to come out to almost everybody. Because
So every
we,
time coming out.
no, like we go to even the clandestino, like men would like come up to us, and we do this bit where I like lie about my name, and then that's when she knows that we have to start lying the whole time.
If somebody, sorry to spoil this trick, but someone's like, you know, what's your name? And she goes, Catherine. It's like, it's on. Like, we're from Antarctica. We're from the clandestino. Like, it's like we can literally like lie our asses off because it's funny, and it's like really like it is funny, and it becomes a private joke between the two of us, which like also
I love a running gag.
it's
Yeah,
a running
no.
gag, and
Yeah.
that is also like such a beautiful thing to have, and I think it's comes when you're with somebody who goes out the same amount. And
Where
It's
did
a
y'all
good-
meet?
It's a crazy a bit.
I know it's a bit crazy, but I think the short story is that Yahsh was my bartender.
Okay.
The first meal I ever had in New York.
Really?
When I moved here, I went to Forget Me Not that night.
And I was a
drove
bartender at
up
Forget Me
and
Not.
Parked and went to Forget Me Not.
How did you know to go to Forget Me Not? Because that's where I love to go. We're 1 block away
Yeah.
from this.
Yeah, it's a great bar.
It brings people together.
It does.
Yeah.
But I knew to go there because of a mutual friend of ours from Austin, Texas. Because Yahsh and I both moved to Austin in 2015.
Yeah. We both lived there for 8 years and never met.
Just a few miles away.
We
from
had
each
so
other.
many mutuals. We like modeled for the same people.
Yeah.
And yeah, we never met.
Yeah.
We were always like a block from each other.
Lived very, very close together, never met. This is like an invisible thread theory.
So when the time comes, that's when you meet someone.
Like,
but
wow.
there
Very
it always
parallel, same train car.
because I was
So I
hanging
may
out.
have met my future lover.
Yeah, you might have, but
I
you
hope so, because I
haven't.
have so
I
many
hope
great
you
people in my
have.
life.
So this is almost our 1 year.
Wow.
Sexually.
Yeah.
We met at Basement.
Really?
Which is a very strange thing to say, but like
Especially for lesbians.
yeah, but I was also like I had been with somebody else. We had broken it off literally that night. I
So
was
you
getting
wanted techno-
ridiculous text messages from this person. I was angry. I was fueled by them. And one of the last texts that this person sent me in this like breakup saga was go find a party,
Wow.
which I felt was very
You're like, assignment understood.
belittling. It was like, oh, like go find a party. Like that's all I do is like all I do is party. Like that's all I'm good for. Like this kind of like sassiness. But at the same time, I was like, oh, what? Like that's actually a really great idea because it's not like it's hard, and also it sounds like fun right now. So then I went out and I met Yahsh and a few other friends at Basement that night, and
Yeah.
we ended up like having a moment that was me instigating some kind of kiss, and then maybe the kiss didn't actually happen.
It did happen.
It was like a very brief kiss.
It's
and
like a
then
peck. It's
yeah,
very
it was
PG.
it was very PG, and it was very nervous, and it was because I've never been with a woman before, and I was very like attracted to her, but I also was really
Oh, really? You
nervous.
were with men before?
Yeah, only.
Really?
And so
Okay.
then I was so nervous about this like first kiss because of all of the things that it could mean. And ultimately it just meant that I found someone that was very equal to me.
So tell me about that moment. You were dancing. Where were you? In the studio?
Yeah, I was like, okay, let's go dance. And
We were
then,
in the
went to
studio
dance
part
in
of
the
basement.
Studio part, and
What
then
time was it?
It was late. No, babe.
4?
It was like 3 a.m.
3.
And
Wow.
and Catherine shows up, and
I
I
got
was
there really
like,
late. Like I got there like
Yeah,
at
yeah.
3, and then this happened like at 3:01. Like,
yeah, but also before that, when she was like, let's go dance. Her best friend talked to me a few weeks ago and was like, Yash, what do you think about Catherine? I was like, what? I was like, this is my only straight girlfriend, really, in the friend group. She's like the straightest girl to me at that point. And the best friend was like, what do you think about her? And I was like, what are you talking about? And he goes, she's mentioned you to me before. Maybe you should give it a chance. And I was so surprised. And then Basement came, and I had that in my head, in the back of my head. And she was like, let's go dance. And then on our way to the dance floor, it was just the two of us. Two of my friends came up. One of them is Chris Lloyd, who you did a show with. He was like, oh, is this Chris Lloyd? He's another painter and also an artist. And he was like, is this your new boo? To me. And I was like, no, she's straight. She's a friend of mine. Like, she was there, but I was like, she's straight. No, she's just a friend of mine. I know. And he was like, oh, that's cool, I guess. And then we went to the dance floor, and I thought that I instigated the kiss, and I felt bad for it, being like a lesbian and out as a lesbian. I talked to friends of ours, especially my roommate at that time. I was like, oh my God, I feel so bad. I kissed Catherine. I feel like she just broke up with someone. I feel like I took advantage of her.
With a guy.
With
and
a
it
guy.
had been literally that night.
The same night. And I was like, I feel so fucking bad, blah, blah, blah. And then when we started dating, she was like, no, I instigated the whole thing.
Amazing.
It was my idea, yeah. I will confess that. And it also was like the best idea I've ever had in my life, where I was like, okay, like I'm attracted to this person regardless of anything that I think that, without thinking of my family, my ancestors. Like it was really just like a gut intuition kind of thing.
Because you come from what, like a more traditional family where
my grandparents are from London. My family is British in that way, where they're like, don't complain about anything.
That's why you like the tea.
I love tea.
Yeah,
I love tea.
I love a G&T. But yeah, my family is much more traditional in the way that you really can't talk to them about Princess Diana; they'll cry. So it's like they're very patriotic, and it's really sad. But it's like they're very patriotic and also very proud to be normal. I think that's something that my family was really proud of. Is like proud to be working class heroes. They wanted to be teachers. They wanted to be secretaries. Like that's like this idea of being a teacher is like the highest form of servitude. Like they really bring this kind of cultural thing into it, where I don't think that's majorly American. I think that is sort of my British family.
Yeah, but how was that for you coming out in the Philippines? Like, when did you come out?
I went to an all-girls school, Catholic school, so everyone was almost like... Totally hot. It's like my sister had a girlfriend before I had a girlfriend, and she's younger than me. It was very open, but also I think it's... My family also, they're very like, we don't really care about it. We'll support you no matter what. And so when I had my first girlfriend in the US, I was kind of nervous about it. So I had lunch with my mom and I told her, and she was like, you don't need to tell me all these things. Like, it doesn't matter. Amazing. It's like, it's so rare, especially for being Asian, because I have so many Asian friends that are queer. And a lot of very conservative.
Their parents don't know.
Their parents don't know. So I have like trans friends, like trans women friends in Austin in college, and they go back for Christmas or Thanksgiving, and they have to dress up as men to appease family. Wow. Which I'm like, that is so sad.
So then you're trans,
it's kind of
And my girlfriend at the time, she's Vietnamese and she's gay. She tells her mom about us. The mom hangs up the phone. Didn't talk to her for a month. until they met me.
Wow.
They met me and they were like, oh, it's so chill. I feel like I am so blessed and am in such a unique position to be like out as a lesbian, and my mom being like, oh, I'm learning so much. My mom met Catherine and my mom's like, when are you guys gonna get married? You know what I mean? It's like I'm so blessed in that way. I feel like you too. Like it's so rare for families, especially like, because my family's like, you carry the genes of our family. Like you have to keep procreating in a way, and they want us to, because they're like, you guys are so beautiful, you need a man in your life to like, you know, create more beautiful people. And we're like, we can still do that. Like science has progressed past the need for men. I think we're so lucky with the family that we have, but I also feel like so sad for friends of ours that their families literally push them away and they don't accept them. Okay, so my aunt from the Philippines visited me, and I was dating someone here in the US. I was already living in New York, and so I like flew to Austin because my mom lives there. And my mom was like, just be who you are. Like, doesn't matter.
That's amazing.
She just needs to see. And I was dating someone else at that point. I was dating this girl, and we went there at the same time. We went there together. And my mom was like, just let her see what it is. She doesn't accept it, then I don't really have respect for her because I see the beauty in it. And so my aunt met me and my girlfriend at that time, and she was like, so welcoming about it. I think it's really just like people being in the same place as queer people, and for them to be open to see like the love that people have, regardless of gender, regardless of sexuality.
But you do so much in nightlife, but you also create all this amazing art. How do you like combine that?
Well, I paint abstractly, so
you can always do it. You do it when you come home.
Like a lot of alcoholics. They historically have made work. I mean, that's like a joke, but I do think that there is something about being really like self-motivated that makes you want to party.
Yeah. And it's something about New York.
It's a city of insomniacs, I think.
Yeah.
In a way. Do you mean like?
But also, I think the catcalling that I see for both of us. I mean, we both get catcalled pretty.
Like
it's like any guy who's
they do that
whistle,
shit.
It's a wolf whistle. It's anything, and it's like a hey gorgeous. It's anything, but the catcalling that I get and that she gets is different. And that's
people will speak to me in Chinese.
I mean,
and be like ni hao ma to me. I'm like, I'm not Chinese.
And so they're just yelling out because they think that she's Chinese and they think that she's hot at the same time, and so they yell out.
No, they know I'm Asian. They just don't care what kind of Asian I am.
I mean, that's really the undertone, is that they don't give a fuck at all what kind of Asian, and so they're gonna yell out. And also, it's relevant to include that the full statement is ni hao bitch, you know, you're gonna say ni hao bitch, and it's like, that's different than just saying ni hao, isn't it? Like that's a really different kind of catcalling. So like that was honestly a giant thing for me to realize, as far as like your experience being an immigrant and my experience being an American. But then in respect to specifically a brown and or Asian woman, on top of that, it was like, yeah, this is what it looks like. This is the kind of harassment that it looks like. This is how the discrimination looks, which is this idea that like you are either a fucking mail order bride, you're somebody that can just like, you're gonna come in the car right now, you're gonna get in the vehicle, you're gonna go home with me. Like, it was this idea that like you're very desperate for money because you're here, you're brown, you're Asian, so you're obviously, you do any kind of thing for money. And then the other attitude is that I actually don't care where you're from, and I'm just gonna yell whatever the fuck I think. It's pretty obvious, the racism, when you look at it through a lens of misogyny. I think it's pretty easy to take it apart. For me, it's easy for me to to understand racism because of the way that I get, you know, a certain kind of attention, and then the way that she gets attention, and then on top of that there's a homophobia. So like on top of that there's like a homophobia when we walk around, and I don't even know if it's supposed to be a compliment. Is it supposed to be a compliment?
I don't know. It seems like a threat. It's a real threat. The statement that we hear
most often it's usually on Delancey. It can happen anywhere.
Yeah.
But it's the statement that we hear when we're holding hands walking down the street is, I would fuck the shit out of both of y'all. That's the phrase. I don't know why I would fuck the shit out of both of y'all. It's the phrase. But it's real, and it's like a very weird thing to say.
So when like men hit on us at bars, I'm like, no, I have a girlfriend. I'm not gonna give you my phone number. They're like, well, she can join too. Instead of like fucking off, they're like, oh, it's hotter because it's two femme girls.
Yeah,
it's two femme girls. If it's like, if one of us is like more like a butch lesbian or like a more masculine lesbian,
neither of us are majorly intimidating. You know, we're both femme.
Well, I would think that I'm intimidating.
Yeah, but I would think that I'm intimidating to a certain crowd. But I do think that like we're both petite, we're both femme, and we're walking
absolutely
hand in hand.
stunning.
So it's like basically I think that people think that, you know, you can really say anything to us and we're not going to punch you in the face. That's like not a real threat, you know. It's like there's not some giant bodyguard standing behind us that's ready to like, you know, KO. It's just basically this idea that like it kind of becomes exponentially vulnerable. And that is that is actually the hardest thing for me about coming out and about being with her, is that I felt all of a sudden that I needed to become a protector in the relationship dynamic, whereas before I definitely relied on men to be the taller person. Suddenly it's like, instead of looking behind me and seeing some 6'2", you know, white guy, there's nobody behind us that's on our side. They're adults and they're in a bar and they're already drinking.
Yeah.
So it's like this idea of protecting each other, I definitely made me feel more like close to you. And also there was an insecurity at the beginning, and I think that now it's something that we know how to navigate and ultimately prevent. You know, we don't go to certain places.
Yeah, that's what I was like talking to her about like last week. The reason why we're like only surrounded by you and JQ and all these people is because these are the people that will like make us feel safe. I actually feel safe around you guys, and I've learned how to filter. I've learned how to filter those big bad people.
But that's what I mean about
it feels like you guys have good intuition.
We definitely do, and I think that that's where we can use prevention to our advantage in this way of like, oh, I get a vibe on this bar, we're gonna stay for 5 minutes. I get a vibe on this party, we're not gonna stay for that long. Like these kinds of things where it's like you just smell it coming on, where it's like the looks that you get and everything is like, the idea that we're holding hands is seen as an invitation, and I literally blame pornography. I think that that's the only time that anybody ever sees lesbian couples that are both femme. They see it as pornography. It's a category on Pornhub. They don't know any lesbians personally. The lesbians that they do know are like history teachers. They teach 8th grade. They're not femme. You know, they don't.
History teachers are often lesbians?
Like, no, but it's like a real vibe where it's like this idea that if your neighbor who's a lesbian, you know, looks different than the two of us. That's real. I know that, and that's why we live in Manhattan. We're both young.
So you think that pornography is a big point of it?
I think pornography is a giant part of it. I think that that's why people are, I mean, Americans specifically are having such a fucking hard time with including lesbians in any of these conversations, is because they're really like, you know, if there's no camera, does it even happen?
Yeah.
They're like, what do you guys even do?
What do you guys even do? Is it sex? I don't even know. Does it count?
Wow.
I don't know. And it's like, if there's a camera and it's like, you know, online, then suddenly it's like totally viable. It's totally a thing that is, you know, hot. But it's also like, if that's not, you know, it's not a documentary about lesbians. No. It's not them, you know, sleeping and then waking up and then making coffee and
it's just
breakfast.
Sex.
It's just sex, and it's literally performative, and so it's like fucks up a lot for lesbians. And I think that lesbians need to know that just being young and femme, it doesn't mean that you're not gay enough. It doesn't mean that like you're not, you know, valid. It means that what you're doing is a genuine interest of yours. You should pursue that. You should go and see where that goes for you. And also that there isn't an aspect of performing for men, because I think that there's so many times in a bar where people are like, you know, kiss.
Yeah.
They'll be like, okay, now
Prove
kiss.
it. Prove it.
Prove it. And the phones come out, and it's very strange because
Yeah, that's why I think like most of our conversations when it comes to us being an artist is us wanting to be more of a word of mouth and not having so much media, because it does please like certain kinds of people that we really don't
I think I'm very old school about it. Like,
Same.
a painter is a very old profession. Lesbian is also. I mean, I think
It's the oldest profession.
one of the oldest professions ever.
Maria was a lesbian.
Rumor has
Yeah,
it there's,
exactly.
like, gay
I mean,
chimpanzees out
Virginia
there.
Woolf was
Virginia Woolf,
around.
old, dead, actually.
Dead.
So it's like there's so many.
She's still here. She's with us right now. Virginia,
She's
please.
in the room here. But I also, I mean, I think that being photographed in that way is something that is very like I'm proud of that, but it doesn't mean that I need to be photographed for it to exist. And I do think that that's how lesbian sex works, is that if it's not on camera, did it even happen? If a tree falls, nobody's there to jerk off, did it even happen?
Totally.
It's like this really weird riddle, and it's actually the whole concept is just about women and their relationships and their emotional depth. And so going back to art, I think that both of us, in the way that we've chosen to portray ourselves online, and the way that both of us have chosen to be more private than maybe encouraged online. We both have encouragement to post more blah, 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 to post more professionally, to be more, to photograph our art, to post our
Show
art.
your personality online.
Yeah, show
No, and
us
have
online.
a pop.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
needs to
This
pop.
kind
It
of
needs to
thing.
be, yeah.
Yeah, and it's very much like it's not real.
Yeah.
It's really just not real. And so to be a painter is a really old profession, and I just think that, like, if you are doing it, it should be witnessed. Its paintings are supposed to be seen.
In real life.
In real life, they're supposed to be
You
seen
want to
in real
share
life.
it as a painter.
Yeah,
you
and
know what I mean?
the reason why we're also bringing this up is because KK and I have talked about how unphotographable some of my works are. Is like some of these things, the details.
Well, I didn't think so. I think it always looks great. Yeah.
But I mean, it's a real conversation that I've had with different gallerists where they are acknowledging the difficulty of photographing some of the works that I have, and I think it's because of a certain color palette or a certain
Because it's not in your
whatever.
head to be like, I'm painting something so it's going to be, so that it will be photographed well.
Right, but it's not in my head, but I do think that it's becoming something that's in other painters'
It's
heads.
so
which
relevant.
is very relevant, and I do see art will always and has always shifted to technology. For me, that is more about the readiness of satin. That's more about the readiness of oil pastels, oil sticks. It's like that kind of availability, that kind of accessibility has not always been true for artists. And that's all on industrial revolution technology and manufacturing and volume and all of these things. But the idea of taking that kind of industrialism and taking it to photography and social media is really a different ballgame. And I don't prescribe to that. I think that if you're going to see something, I would rather be the least viewed thing in the museum. You see these, there's always museums that have works that are photographed all the time. Like the Louvre has the Mona Lisa. That's the one that gets shot the most by far. But right next to it, in the same room, are all of these amazing works that never get photographed, and it's because they're next to the Mona Lisa. That's really more about press and photography and tourism and marketing, tourism.
Misogyny
France,
also.
It's French tourism, and they've pushed that a lot, and so now you can get keychains and tote bags, and all of that is very real, and it does make them money. But Leonardo da Vinci is actually dead, so like it doesn't actually help him or hurt him. It doesn't fucking matter. Nobody cares. So if you're a female artist, you're in Manhattan, you're
It's
doing
so
your
misogynistic
thing,
in
you're
our
24,
world.
25 years old, you're making your first body of work, you're gonna have your first solo like me. Thank God.
Yeah.
You're gonna do these things for the first time. Why would I need to photograph my things like the fucking Mona Lisa is photographed at the Louvre? Like, it really doesn't need to have that kind of thing because it's not that. Like, I really do pride myself on the fact of, like, you should just sit in front of it in person, see how you feel. I don't think that I've made my... there's no masterpiece for me. Like, I don't feel like I've made this piece.
You're not in your prime yet.
I'm not in my prime yet. I haven't hit that. So, like, as an artist, I don't think that everything should be worshipped by an iPhone yet. I think that it should be really
Felt.
just for the eyes. Like, it should be seen.
Yeah.
Feeling. It's
Yeah.
all about feeling.
Yeah.
But it's the same with nightlife. Like parties that are Instagrammable, you know, they promote faster. It's like you need good
I mean,
lighting.
honestly, the parties lately that I've been seeing in nightlife and I've been a part of it and there's photos involved is so about being photogenic and not really about the feeling on the dance floor. To me, like a party is about the dance floor. If there's
Yes.
nobody dancing and no like version of Katherine being weird on the dance floor,
They're
then it's not a
very
fucking... There's no party. Like, if you can't be weird, and if you feel like people are gonna laugh at you if you dance weirdly to the music, to the beat of the fucking music, then it's not a fucking good party. Like, you can be photographed so well, right? Like,
But I think many photographs are portraits for nightlife, and like you can be photographed looking amazing at the door, and like in a real example, like we'll go through party photos of parties that we've had at Juku or Shinzen or whatever.
Gonzos.
And like look through them and realize that like this person was photographed at the door, but they never got in. They never got in. And so like that's like these awkward kind of moments where it's like you really do know what that person's night looked like, and it was that brief. And they got their photo taken, and it was in the deck, and it did get released or whatever, but it's like they didn't actually get in, and like that's real, where you can look amazing, but also at the same time, like, you have a horrible attitude, you brought 9 men, like, there's certain kinds of things that it's like, okay,
No, I
that's
just
what you
honestly
get in.
want people to be able to dance more and not think that anyone is surveilling them.
Yeah.
Like, just be free and
I do
dance.
find that the
And we
younger
don't have to talk
generation
about
does
it.
that.
Like, we honestly just, the thing that we have to talk about is the fact that we all dance, not because of the photo that was taken of you on the dance floor, or like while you're at the bar or anything like
Well, I
that.
think
Like,
this is where like younger generation, which I think that they are simultaneously braver to be stupid, but at the same time they are stupider, braver, more themselves, maybe for the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it is a give and take. That's where you see the relationship between photography and nightlife come to this kind of peak, where it's like, are you acting as a model? Are you acting as an actor? Are you here for the party? It's like, are you a guest at this event, or is this your event? You know, and I think that is where photography can change that. And people will really, you know, max their credit card out for some shoes and take the photo, and then it looks like they're richer than everybody else. It's like, it's a very malleable media.
she watches Sex in the City.
It's
that's
but it's a
nice.
very but it's a very malleable media where like
It's
you can-
Carrie Bradshaw.
you can manipulate photography easier than maybe other medias just because it's faster.
Yeah.
Just because it's faster.
But don't you feel that sometimes? Like,
What?
whenever you go to parties, it's just like so much about socializing and not about dancing anymore, like not freeing yourself.
But I like socializing at parties.
I mean, me too,
Yeah,
me
same.
too. But I feel like there should be a point where like all the people that we are socializing with can actively
I
on
had
the
a
dance
moment-
floor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The
And
dance
it's
floors
like
are getting smaller.
it's getting
Have you noticed?
smaller and smaller.
I think the ketamine is for your house. That's my.
I
that's my
know, because you
problematic
don't
opinion.
like you can't talk to people.
No,
You can't.
I've obviously
They
never
become
done it,
zombies.
but I've heard.
No,
but
you
can't.
become a zombie.
Yeah.
Sophia Lamar, when we were at the
She-
outside of the Anna Bolena show this last season.
Yeah, she
Fashion
approached
Week.
us both and was just saying, like, you know, what is this? What is this? Why the ketamine? I think that the ketamine is making everybody, like, so boring.
Yeah.
And
She
she's
said this,
she's
and I'm like,
she's
oh my
nobody-
God.
She's like, it's not for parties. She's like, ketamine is not for parties.
No, it's
And
so true.
Sophia Lamar says ketamine is not for parties. Honestly,
Word.
it's not.
No, it's
Like,
for
I'm
sitting
like,
on the
that's
couch and
really
being
the
inspired.
person.
Exactly,
Like-
exactly. It's like
Yeah,
why?
and this
Because
Sophia
why?
Lamar, who is Sophia Lamar?
Sophia
Sorry, I saw
Lamar
in
is
my
just
past
like-
interviews that sometimes names are
Yeah.
that I know.
Sophia
She's just this
Icon.
iconic woman.
Yes.
She's
Cuban.
fashion icon.
Yeah.
And
OG.
OG.
has been part of the best party. I met her
Yes,
beige.
totally. No, she's
She's
amazing.
a dancer.
She's
a host.
amazing.
So cool and been
Attendant.
such an
I've
inspiration.
met her a couple of times only, but she like would always remember me. She's like, you're that Filipino Miss Universe of the Philippines. I'm like, wrong girl, babe, but thank you. You know, but she's just been
technically win Miss Universe
shut the fuck up.
in the Philippines.
People do believe it. People do believe it.
Yeah, it's
Well, one thing about Sophia Lamar that's interesting to say, because at some point she had the green short wig
Yes.
on, and that was right after Lady Gaga had that on at the CFDA Icon after party in Boom Boom 2012.
amazing.
You
And
were
then I
like,
saw
what,
Sophia
13
Lamar
years
who was
old?
wearing the green wig, and I said, "Oh wow, you did that because of Gaga." And she said, she was like, "No,
Gaga
it's the other way
made
around."
it, yeah.
And I was like, wow, yeah, of course it is. Because all the pop stars get inspiration
From
of
nightlife.
amazing creative people like Sophia
Yeah.
Lamar. She, like, so much of the creativity starts there.
So, yeah, I
And
understand. I mean, fashion is the same way.
And that's what I love about New York. It's like everything that happens here is amplified into the world. So people like that and like you are so inspirational over the whole world.
Would truly, because my brother would like sometimes text me and be like, "You're the only Filipino girl in our neighborhood that would dare try and live in New York," because New York has always been like Mars to us, like a different planet. You know, like it's like something we watch in movies. It's not something we aspire for.
Yeah.
It's something that we just like daydream about and not really like go for it.
But still,
But,
you did it.
yeah.
What made you have the...
I don't eat.
sense.
It's like I think it's more nature rather than nurture. You know, it's just like a part of myself to like seek this kind of lifestyle.
Yeah.
And also this kind of environment because no, I feel like everything is so where I'm from. It's like it's so religious. Just but my parents are so like outside of that, which I'm so happy about. My mom, I mean, being from the Philippines and living in Saudi Arabia for 15 years, and my dad being in the nightlife scene in the Philippines, one of the biggest like parties in the Philippines he would run, and I was like so a part of that. My first drink was a Negroni because my dad at 13 years old was like, "Come to this party with me," and I'm like 13 years old and I'm like around like celebrities.
Wow.
And it's my aunts and my mom's side would be like, "What the fuck is your dad doing to you? Like, why
your
is
dad
he like?"
inspired you.
Yeah, in a way,
Yeah.
like I fucking love my dad for that because he's like, be a part of this,
Yeah.
see the world. And it's like, but also at the same time, these people are like from the West. They're like half white, half Filipinos. So I was very much like around those people a lot. And that's why like assimilating into the US was not so hard for me because my dad was so like a part of that in the
Yeah.
Philippines, like in Manila, in Makati City, like he
you
was
really opened your view for that.
Yeah, that's why also when Travis was like, "Yash, help me run Juku" back in October, I was like, no, I don't want to be like my father. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, there's still like negative parts of nightlife that I didn't want to be a part of. And
This is going out late, drugs.
he kept, he kept like asking me, and then all of a sudden I was like, okay, let me give it a try. Let me run a club and do it. If I can do it, then
It went really well. Okay, you two are extremely amazing, and I can't wait to see your show. And I can't wait to see all your photographs, and your set design is
Thank
amazing
you.
too, and the
Thank
parties and the energy you two bring. And can we please have more Halloween parties?
Yes.
And other theme parties.
we will have theme parties soon.
Yes, more
We
Yeah.
want that.
Yeah, I feel like I should say the show just July 18th.
Oh yeah. Okay, this. Boom. Sell it. Okay. So where can people find you?
So I'm having a show, the painting show. It's my first
Your
solo.
first one.
It's gonna be in Chelsea. It's on. It's at Ross and Kramer, the gallery. It's on July 18th.
Where's Ross and Kramer? What's the street?
27th.
Okay.
Okay.
And 10th.
Yeah.
Oh, major gallery district.
So yeah.
Gallery.
Duh.
Big.
Wow.
Big
Okay.
show.
It's not like
I have
random.
the
No.
director of my dreams, CL Hart, to thank, and also, Yahshel, my family, everybody.
Amazing.
Family.
And where can people see your work? What's your Instagram?
She has a website.
I have a website on my Instagram. My Instagram is private, but it is Auchterlonie.
Mom is your
But it
website.
is private. But my Instagram is my full name. It's CatherineRoseAuchterlonie.com.
Your website. Your website.
Yeah, that's the website. Oh yeah. That's what I meant to say. And that's where you can see some recent works and the upcoming show.
Major.
Thank you.
Yahsh, what about you?
Nothing really.
What?
No.
More to come. Yeah.
More to come.
Always
I'm like,
streaming.
yeah.
Wow.
No, I'm building my website for the photos and stuff.
Yeah, because your
But
photos
also
are truly
there are
amazing.
photos of
We just got Wi-Fi.
we didn't get I literally don't like Wi-Fi like that.
Yeah, no, we really were like resistant to it, but we just got Wi-Fi.
Only
after,
to build a
3
website.
months,
Only
just
to build
And then once we got Wi-Fi, I made a website in like 2 hours. Like it was really
Yeah, and
easy.
it's like we have to cancel it now.
Yeah. It's
No,
a
but
thing.
I think like the next thing for me, I want to do a book of photos.
Yeah.
And there is a person that's willing to fund it for me, and I'm just like so happy. And it's gonna be mostly photos of Katherine,
Amazing.
which is
Well, it'll be right behind you.
We need to spread love.
top.
I
Right here
think.
next to Eileen Ford and Yuval Harari.
Yeah.
Barbara
Totally.
London
Uh-huh.
and Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some big
The
names.
science we'll talk about
It'll be
next
right
time.
there.
Mostly
Yeah, we'll talk about
film,
that.
though.
Well, thank you for watching. Oh, I've never done an
Thank you.
outro. You guys did that. Thank you for watching. I think this is an amazing episode. I love the girls across from me, but yeah, we have to go because they're busy. Mwah.
Yeah. We have to.
Wow.
Ciao, Bella.
That was so
Ciao.
good.
Thank you.
Thank